So you can see I'm taking an ignition waveform from secondary ignition waveform from this engine, and you can see on cylinder 3 I'm taking the waveform from this engine, so you can see the connection on the probe. So what I'll do now is I want you to see the settings. The issue is the engine is not running properly after we did an overhauling and change the head gasket, so the engine is not running properly. So what I want you to check is how to set up your scope to take the reading, the secondary ignition reading. So you can see my time, then my voltage, which I'm using 100 millivolts. I can also change the voltage by going to then change it to 200 millivolts. So go to channel, then I change to 200 millivolts, and you can see now the way the waveform looks like when I change it to 200 millivolts. But I'll take it back to 100 millivolts, and I'm using 100 millivolts so that I can get, so I'm using 100 millivolts, so you can see the 100 millivolts. So right now I'll choose my time, which is 2 milliseconds. So I'll choose my time, which is 2 milliseconds. So I see when I took the 2 milliseconds, you can see the secondary ignition waveform properly. So what I'll do is this using hand take. So I'll use my Magic's, and it's the same principle. So with this one, when I change it to channel, I can change my voltage to 2 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds, and I'll be getting the same waveform. And I've set my trigger also, and you can see I'm getting the same waveform, but for the expansion of it is the time beat. So let me go to 500, and you can't see anything, and it's very thin. So let me go to 200, and let me move to 100. So on this small screen I'm using 100 millivolts. The fan is on, and this engine has a system. You can see when I move it to cylinder 1, when I move it to cylinder 1, when I move it to cylinder 1, you can see that now I have to use an invert to turn it upside down. So I'll go to channel, and you can see my invert is on. I can turn it off, and now you can see it has changed. But when I move back to cylinder 2, it will go upside down, and I have to turn off the invert to get it at the right place. Now this is how they designed this system, and that's how this system works. So now let me move to my Magic's and see if you can apply the same principle that we are applying here. So if you can see, we are applying 2.0 milliseconds and 100 millivolts. So let's set up on cylinder 2. Let's set up on my Magic's scope and see if we can use the same, so that you understand the principle when you are using a scope, the principle behind it. You can see the principle behind it. So now I'll take off the lead. Okay, so now I've taken off the lead and I've plugged it to my Magic's scope. So let me go to scope, and you can see I plugged the lead and it's on cylinder 1. Remember here we turn the invert on. So let me start the scope, and let me do it channel 1. So I'll choose my voltage. So you can see the, let me point it so that I can bring it in the middle. So you can see the waveform. So now I want to get it the way I got it on the Handtech. So let me go to my volt per division and let me go to 100 millivolts. Then let me change my time base from 500 milliseconds to 2 milliseconds like we did on the scope, so you can see it. So what I'll do next is I'll turn off my trigger. Then so you can see now I'm triggering, and you can see with this one, because the invert is not on, so you can see it is upside down. Let me bring it a bit down. So you can see it's upside down. So I'll go to settings. So this means I can use my trigger at any place. So I'll go to settings, then invert in. So you can see now it's the other color. The yellow color is the invert of the, it is not like this one that when you do the invert it turns the signal upside down, but with this one, let me change my volt per division to 200 millivolts because it's on a big screen. So you can see it's the opposite of what we are seeing now. So on this one is the opposite of it. So when I change the lead to the second one, so now I've changed the lead to the second one, and you can see, now I'm getting it like the way I was getting it on the smaller one. Now it is on cylinder 1, and if I move to cylinder 3, which is this one, if I move to cylinder 3, I'll get the same thing. So you can see on cylinder 3 too, I'm getting the same invert. And if I move to cylinder 4, that means I have to turn the wheel. I have to use the invert of it. So you can see on cylinder 4, you can see now I'm getting the opposite, the invert of it. So I'm using the yellow one on cylinder 4. I'm using the yellow one as the correct. So when I click on stop, this is what I will analyze, the invert of it. That's what I will analyze. But this is what I was getting. So you can see it is the opposite of it. Is the opposite of it, and it is the same thing. It's like it has been turned upside down. It's the opposite of it. Let me change the cylinder. You see it is the opposite of it. So now let me change to cylinder 1. When I change it to cylinder 1, I'll be getting cylinder 1 and cylinder 3 are the same. So now it's on cylinder 1, and let me start the scope, and you see the waveform that I'll be getting the perfect wave. I'll be getting the correct one, which I have not done the invert on it. And this is Sportage 2.0 DOHC. So you can see that I'm getting the correct thing here. So now I can turn the event off. So turn it off and go back, and this will be what I'm getting. So now you can see on this scope the waveform. I can even change the time so that it will be a bit close, and I can change by division. Let me go to 5 millivolts because it's a big screen and this one is a small screen. That's why I was using the 100 millivolts to get to get it correct. But with this one I'm using 500 millivolts per division on it, so you can see I'm getting the correct waveform. And if I want it to be plenty on it, I can also go to 10 volts per division. So now you can see like 3 events. So when I change the seconds, so when I go to 2 milliseconds, so you can see as I'm going to 2, it's expanding, and when I go to 1, it will expand more. So you can see any second that I go to or any time base that I choose, it expands, which means the time base is used for zoom in, like you are zooming it in, and for your signal, and the voltage is used for like closing. So let me change the voltage again. Let's go to 100 millivolts and see what we'll be getting. So this is 100 millivolts, and you can see how big it is on the screen. And you can go to 200 millivolts, and you can see how it is on the screen, and 200 millivolts, and you can see what you are seeing. So let me go to 500 millivolts, and you can see this on the screen. Perfect view for your screen. So sometimes it depends on the screen size. The screen size allow you to choose your time base and your time base and your voltage also as well. So the vertical axis and the horizontal axis, you choose them as well. So now I can even pause this, and I can change it to cylinder 2. So the moment I change it to cylinder 2, you see it upside down, like it is turned over. So if I want to do anything again, or if I want to turn it, this scope is not like this one that I can. So I can use, or I can select anything from here, and I can do the coding, and I can do filtering it, because it is not about filtering it, and ground wiring settings for DC mode link, and so invert of it and go back, and you will see I'm getting the event of it perfectly. And I can push the trigger so that I can, you can now see. So even if I push the orange one down, we'll be using the event to get what we want. So you can see we'll be getting what we want on the event. So you can see that I'm getting it as it is. But if I turn it off, if I change the cylinder, so let me go to cylinder 1 again. So when I go to cylinder 1, I'll turn the event off and go back and change the time base to get more information on the screen, and also bring it up. So this is what is happening. So let me push mine. So you can see now you are getting the actual thing which is happening. So I'll do the explanation of this another time to explain the combustion chamber and other things. So you can see these settings, I'm using 500 millivolts per division, and when it comes to the time base, I'm using 1 millisecond, and the time base can be 2 milliseconds depending on the size of which I want to see my secondary ignition waveform. So let's try. So let me pull the trigger here a bit so that you can see. So you can now see I'm using microsecond, and you can see how big it is on the screen, and it's telling me the perfect bend time. So you can now see it, and the moment I change it to this, you see now you can see it has turned. So I'll bring my trigger down rather. So now you can see it is turned over. but the best thing I can do is go to the settings again, turn it on, and go back, and you can see I'm getting the same thing on it. What I can do to help is to take it down, then you can see this one perfectly. So this one, because of the triggering, so I can change it to 1 millisecond so that we can have a correct view of it. So this is the event of it. So the yellow one is the event. So let me turn it off and change to cylinder 1. And now pull up the trigger and pull up the time gauge also, so that we can get it perfect. So you can see how you are getting it on this screen. And also let me swap. So let me stop it, and let me go to. So with this one alone you can analyze it. So let me go to. So now I'm using this scope, and with this scope the event is off. So what I'll do now is I'll go to channel and turn the event off, then I get it correct. When the event is on, it will turn it upside down. That's cylinder. So when I switch to cylinder 2, I'll turn the event on. So what I can do here also is I can pull the trigger up. This one is used for voltage measuring, and it's also the trigger. And I can also turn off. I can also turn off cylinder 2 so that you will see the waveform perfect on it. So you can see it's stable, and I can also pause it. So you can see I can also pause it like the way I've paused it on the magic scope. So I've paused it here, and you can see it. Now I've paused it on the magic scope, and you can also see it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more videos.